This is James from Shopify. Today I'm going to show you how easy it is to build a Shopify app using Rails and deploy it using Heroku. First I'm going to log into my Shopify partner account. And then I'm going to register a new application. The app I'm going to make will let users tweet about their products using Twitter, so I won't need write access to their shop. After a user installs my application through Shopify, they're going to be redirected to a URL that I choose here. I'm going to be using the Shopify App Rails plugin, which will generate a login controller to handle that redirection. Now that I have some API credentials to use for my app, I can start building it by using the standard Rails generator. I'm also going to install the Shopify App plugin from Shopify's GitHub repository. This plugin provides a Ruby interface to the Shopify API based on active resource. It's also going to let me generate a handful of controllers and views which will handle authentication of users through Shopify. The generator takes my API key and shared secret as parameters, so I'm just going to copy and paste those from the partners site. Now that I've used the Shopify app generator, I figure it's a good time to initialize a Git repository for my project. I've just copied over a standard git ignore file that I have lying around, and now I'm adding all the files in my codebase and just making a first commit. Now let's see what the generator has given us for free already. Start up a server and go to localhost. And we can see that we have a login screen. We can type in the subdomain of the shop that we want to authenticate as, and now we get a screen asking us if we want to give access to this application. Once we tell Shopify to install the app for us, Shopify then redirects us to the URL we entered when we registered the app. That URL is mapped to the finalize action of the login controller, which takes a couple of parameters, stores them in the session, and then redirects the user to wherever they want it to go. Once that string of redirects is finished, we find ourselves at a nice little view that has been generated for us, which contains some of the orders and products from our shop. We can also check out some of the CSS styles available to us if we want to use this layout to create a UI for our app. But for now, we're going to keep things simple. The only feature we're going to worry about right now is handling a single link being pressed on the user's product details page. We're going to use the same controller action which displays the orders and products, but we're going to check for an ID parameter, which is going to be included in the URL of that link. So if we get that parameter, first thing I'm going to do is get the shop that the user is logged into. The Shopify API module contains a bunch of classes which extend from active resource, and some of them provide nice convenience methods, like shop.current. Here I'm looking up the product that the user was looking at when they clicked the link. And now I'm going to write the Twitter status message itself. I'm going to use the product and shop objects to populate the message with relevant information. There's a nice convenience method on product instances called price range. This method returns the range of prices for a product's variance, but if it only has a single price, then it just returns one value. To finish off the message, I'm just going to include the name of the shop and a link to the product itself. Instead of worrying about using the Twitter API to authenticate our users, we're just going to use a URL with a query parameter which will direct the user to a pre-filled form where they can edit the status message and then post it however they like. Now I'm going to commit my changes to Git and go back to the Partners Accounts screen to actually add the link to the product details page for my app's users. I'm going to click on Add Application Link, and now I see that there's a number of choices for where I want to put the link. I'm going to select Product Details, and then I'm going to add the text of the link along with the URL, which is mapped to the action that I just edited. In this case, it happens to be at the root of my application, but I might have made a tweet controller or something like that to handle it instead. Now I'm going to head off to my shop and log into the admin area. Now when I look at one of my products, I'm going to find one of these links that I just added. The link is going to take me back to the index action which I edited, which is then going to redirect me to Twitter with that status message pre-filled. And there it is. Now that I have everything working the way I want it to, I'm going to deploy my application to Heroku. First thing I'm going to do is register the application with Heroku using the Heroku command line tool. I've given it a name of Product Tweeter, which is going to be the subdomain of the application. Now I'm going to add some config variables. This is what I'm going to use to store the API key in secret in production mode, instead of having it in my Shopify YAML. As you can see, the Shopify YAML file uses ERB to look at environment variables in production mode. In the future, if I wanted to open source this code, I could keep my production credentials secret by registering a new application with Shopify and getting new credentials which never actually appear in the source code. Here I'm pushing to the Heroku Git repository, which is Heroku's way of deploying the app. As you can see, it doesn't take too long, and now everything's online. There's one more thing that we need to do before anyone can use this app, though. We need to change the URLs that we entered in the partners page. We just need to change it from localhost to the new domain that we have from Heroku. Now that we've got that dealt with, I'm going to go to my app, now running on Heroku, and I'm going to go through the same login process as before. The app running online is using the same credentials as I was when I was developing locally, so Shopify still trusts us. I'm going to log into my admin area, and I'm going to go to another product. That link is still there, but now it points to the Heroku URL, and it does the same thing. So anyone could now install this application and have those links available to them in their Shopify store to tweet about their products.